Hello everyone. Good morning to all of you, dear authors and invited guests. Welcome to the technical session 5B. Myself, Srushti Rokde, and this session would be monitored by me. And on behalf of the Global Knowledge Research Foundation and GR Scholastic, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to this international conference on technological intelligence and business strategies, TIBS 2026, Manila, Philippines. This conference is being organized in hybrid mode. The physical event was held yesterday in Manila, Philippines, and the virtual event is being held through Zoom from 23rd to 24th June 2026. And I hope you all enjoy this knowledgeable and interactive sessions throughout the day. And in this session, we have 8 presentations. Each presenter will be given 12 minutes for the presenter and 3 minutes for the question answers. And on the 10th minute, I will raise a gentle reminder. And there is another request to all the participants that you all have to stay connected with us till the closing mark. And if you have any query or update, then you can write to me in the chat box. So before we start, let me introduce our beloved session chairs of this session. So we have we have with us Elmer B. Noshe, faculty member of Pangasinan State University, Philippines. Mr. Elmer is a faculty member at Pangasinan State University and is highly regarded for his leadership in technology, research, mentorship, and university administration. His academic and professional interests include information technology, educational technology, web development systems analysis and design, and computer network. Through his contributions to teaching, research, and institutional development, he has played a significant role in advancing technological driven education and innovation. Welcome, sir, to the session. The second session chair we have is Dr. Kamlesh Ahuja, ma'am, Associate Professor and Head of Artificial Intelligence and Data Science Department at Mahakal Institute of Technology, Ujjain, India. Dr. Kamlesh Ahuja is an associate professor and the head of Artificial Intelligence and Data Science Department at Mahakal Institute of Technology, Ujjain, India. With over 9 years of academic experience, she is dedicated educator and researcher in computer science, information technology, and AI and data science. Her teaching portfolio includes core subjects such as machine learning, artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and deep learning. Welcome, ma'am, to the session. And to begin the session, I would like to ask the session chairs to give a small remark to commence the session. Ma'am, sir, do you want to say anything to the authors?
Hi, good morning, everyone, and welcome. And I wish you all the best and good luck on your presentation. Thank you.
Yes, all the
Thank
best,
you.
everyone.
Thank you so much, sir. So we will now start our sessions with the first presentation we have of the paper, Design of an Inclusive Special Education Support System by Alhatham Alamri, sir. Do you have you in the meeting, sir?
Yes, I'm here.
You can present your screen and start the presentation.
Okay. I've sent a request to share my screen. There we go. Good morning, everyone. My name is Al-Haytham Al-Amri, and today I'll be presenting our work titled Design of an Inclusive Special Education Support System. The presentation will begin with the motivation behind the paper and a brief overview of related work. I'll then discuss our proposed solution, discuss its architecture and accessibility features, present its core functionality and special education enhancements, and finally, conclude with our work's limitations and future directions. Schools increasingly rely on digital platforms to manage communication, learning, and administration. However, students with disabilities often face accessibility challenges when interacting with these systems. At the same time, many schools still depend on multiple disconnected platforms for communication, administration, and learning management. This fragmentation can reduce efficiency, create communication gaps, and make it more difficult to provide inclusive, effective educational support. To better understand the current landscape, we reviewed both educational management platforms and accessibility-focused solutions. The first system we examined was ON, a Saudi-developed Arabic communication application for children with autism. The platform demonstrated strong parent acceptance, and it highlighted the importance of Arabic-based assistive technologies. However, it primarily focused on communication support and not on providing broader educational management functionality. The second platform we examined was Brightwheel, which is a cloud-based platform that integrates attendance tracking, administration, and parent-teacher communication into a single system. And while it effectively demonstrated the benefits of a unified educational system, it provided very limited support for accessibility and special education needs. And finally, we examined Madrasti, which is Saudi Arabia's national e-learning platform. And it provided a very comprehensive digital learning environment, which connected teachers with students and their parents. But it's primarily designed for general education rather than accessibility, much like Brightwheel. These studies showed that effective solutions do exist for accessibility support and management, but the capabilities are rarely combined into one platform. And so overall, the observations we've made from the literature review was that existing platforms typically focus on either educational administration or special needs support, rarely both and rarely effectively. Arabic language accessibility solutions remain relatively limited, and communication tools are often disconnected from learning support services. And so, as a result, the gap we identified overall was that the absence of a unified platform capable of combining administration, communication, accessibility, and learning support, while also addressing Saudi-specific requirements. And this gap served as the foundation for our proposed solution, EduBridge. EduBridge is a mobile platform we designed specifically to support early and special education within Saudi Arabia. The primary objective was to integrate communication, administration, and learning into a single platform that improves accessibility for students with diverse needs. We also aim to strengthen collaboration between teachers and parents and provide a solution tailored to local and cultural requirements. This diagram illustrates the overall structure of EduBridge and the relationships between its different user groups. The platform is organized around 4 primary roles: administrators, teachers, parents, and students. Each role is provided with a dedicated interface tailored to its responsibilities. Administrators being responsible for overseeing school operations and coordinating the environment. Teachers are provided with the tools that support student learning, engagement, and communication with parents, while parents are given direct visibility into their child's learning experience through reports and updates provided by the teacher, while student-related functionality is accessed only through the parent interface to simplify usage for younger learners. Together, these interfaces form the foundation of the platform, and they define how information and functionality are distributed across different users. We'll take a closer look at some of these interfaces later in the presentation. From a technical perspective, EduBridge is implemented as an Android application developed using Java and XML. Backend functionality is supported through Firebase, which is a Google service that handles login authentication, storage, and database operations. Agora is a real-time video and communication platform that we've used to support remote learning and live class monitoring capabilities, which we'll get into shortly. EduBridge also supports AI-powered services through pre-trained models, which we'll also get in very shortly. Overall, the system follows a client-server architecture with fragment-based navigation, which provides easy scalability and maintainability. Accessibility and special education support are the 2 central design principles of our work. Our platform provides multiple visual themes and allows users to adjust text and button sizes to improve usability, which helps both colorblind and visually impaired users. It also supports teachers in uploading learning materials in video format with subtitles, which improves accessibility for students who are hard of hearing. The platform supports Arabic localization and right-to-left interfaces, which is of course essential for our intended user base. Additionally, EduBridge remains compatible with native Android accessibility services, such as screen readers and magnifiers. It also includes tailored interfaces designed to improve parental involvement and support students with diverse needs, and we'll get into them in a bit. Now, starting off with the core features of the app, the first area we'll discuss is communication. EduBridge provides direct communication between parents and teachers through our integrated messaging system. And parents also receive very detailed reports regarding the students' learning development, attendance, and other relevant information. In addition, important announcements, such as events and deadlines, are delivered directly through the application, helping keep families informed. The second area is accessibility and remote learning support. Students and parents can access learning materials and homework through the platform at any time, making educational resources available beyond the classroom. Teachers can distribute content digitally, enabling independent review by parents while supporting accessibility features such as the discussed subtitles. The platform also supports live remote learning, and that content will also always remain saved and accessible. The final area is administration. EduBridge centralizes the management of users, classes, curriculums, attendance records, and events, all within a single platform. And so different groups access the functionality most relevant to their responsibilities, while all of them remain connected through this single platform. Before discussing the following features, it's important to note that they were implemented after the paper had already been finalized for conference submission. Therefore, they're not actually covered in the manuscript we submitted. The first feature is live class monitoring. Our platform supports real-time video streaming using Agora as discussed. In a classroom setting, live video is streamed to an AI model for real-time analysis. This model will continuously monitor the footage for events, such as students falling or physical altercations, and it can automatically alert counselors or staff through the app when intervention may be required. The same infrastructure can also support remote learning through live teacher-led sessions. The second feature is educational games, where teachers can provide interactive activities through browser-based games that students can access directly within the application. This provides additional, more engaging learning opportunities outside the classroom. The third feature is the student behavior tracker, where teachers can record behavioral incidents and observations, as in write them down, which can then be analyzed using generative AI tools to identify recurring patterns and potential contributing factors, which helps provide insight that helps teachers and parents better support the students. The fourth feature is the student needs tracker, which allows teachers and parents to share information related to a student's daily well-being, routines, and individual requirements. Examples include dietary restrictions, sleep-related concerns, and other factors that may affect the student. This helps keep home and school aligned on the student's needs and issues. And the final feature is the student safety tracker, which provides the student's location and heart rate monitoring. One potential use case is, for example, during school trips, where staff may struggle to monitor students' whereabouts and well-being. And while the current implementation of this feature operates on mobile devices, the long-term vision is to integrate it with wearable devices, such as smartwatches. And so together, we think these features demonstrate how EduBridge extends beyond traditional school management systems to support student well-being, safety, and needs. And so in conclusion, our work resulted in the design and implementation of EduBridge, an educational platform that combines communication, administration, learning support, and accessibility services, all within a single platform. Beyond traditional management functionality, the platform incorporates accessibility-focused design principles and specialized support features intended to better serve students with diverse needs. And we've also demonstrated the feasibility of integrating management and special education in the same platform while still maintaining strong parental involvement. Overall, we think EduBridge provides a foundation for more inclusive and connected learning experience, specifically within the Saudi environment. However, despite the progress we achieved, several limitations still remain. The platform has not yet undergone large-scale deployment or user testing, meaning its effectiveness hasn't been evaluated in a real environment yet. Administrative functionality also remains limited in some areas, and certain planned features could not be fully implemented due to time and resource constraints during development. For example, we could not implement an automated admission system, and so admins still have to manually enter in each user. Future work will focus on validating the platform within schools, gathering feedback from stakeholders, and refining the system based on real-world usage. Our additional priorities also include developing a dedicated web-based administration platform integrated with the application, which will help us implement some of the more complicated features, such as automated admissions. And we'd also like to extend app support to iPhones rather than just Android systems. Thank you for your attention. I'd be happy to answer any questions regarding our work.
Yes, you presented very well, sir. I have
Thank
one
you.
question that how much data and space we require for this platform?
Well, most of it is hosted on the cloud through Google's Firebase services. So
Okay.
we don't have to actually store much ourselves. As for how much we'll require in a real implementation, how much cloud data we'll need, that's hard to say. We'd have to get
Okay.
some real data.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any
Yeah,
other questions?
in regards to the presentation that you did, sir, actually, it's a wonderful application. It's timely. I just want to
Thank you.
know, how does your system accommodate the diverse range of needs across different types of, disabilities?
Well, of course, we do cover some physical disabilities, as we said. We have some accessibility features for the colorblind, for the visually impaired, for the hard of hearing. But we're also, we think we support more mental conditions decently well. For example, we think our in-app educational games are quite useful for example, someone with ADHD or autism who may struggle in a real physical learning environment. And also the fact that the parent is so involved in the education because of all the material they're receiving, all the reports, it also helps the parent make sure that their student who may struggle in school stay, up to date with the curriculums.
Okay. Thank you. That's it for me.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, now we can move forward with the next presentation. So the next presentation we have is from Cash to Digital, exploring the pathways to cashless economy in Bangladesh with mediating roles of intrinsic motivation and initial trust by Mohammed Tafshir Zaman Taki. Sir, are you in the meeting?
Yes, I am present here. Tafsir Jaman
Yes, you
Taki.
can present. You can present your screen and start the presentation.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mohammed Tafsir Jaman Takib, and I am presenting our research on behalf of my co-authors. Our paper is titled From Cash to Digital, Exploring the Pathways to a Cashless Economy in Bangladesh with Mediating Roles of Intrinsic Motivation and Initial Trust. This study investigates the factors that drive cashless payment system adoption in Bangladesh and examines the role of trust and motivation in this transition. Before we start, here is a little research context. The world is rapidly moving toward cashless payment systems, and Bangladesh is no exception. Digital cashless transactions in Bangladesh grew by 17% in 2024 alone. However, adoption remains uneven, and the challenges are not only about technology, it is about consumer trust and motivation. Factors like security concerns, low financial literacy, and fear of cyber threats are holding people back. And despite this growing relevance, very few studies have looked at all these factors together in a Bangladesh specific context. That is the gap, what is motivated this study. Here is the research problem. Prior studies have individually confirmed that digital financial literacy, facilitating conditions, social influence, and perceived security influence cashless adoption. But most of them, sorry, but most of them examined these factors in isolation. Very few studies incorporated IT innovation acceptance alongside all other drivers in one unified model. More importantly, the mediating roles of trust and intrinsic motivation within a combined framework have not been fully explored in Bangladesh. Given the infrastructural and socio-demographical challenges of Bangladesh, this gap is critical to address. Based on these gaps, our study pursued these four objectives. First, to investigate how digital financial literacy, facilitating conditions, perceived security, social influence, and IT innovation acceptance influence the cashless society adoption. And second and third objective was to explore the mediating roles of initial trust and intrinsic motivation on these relationships. And finally, we tried to provide practical and policy recommendations for accelerating the cashless ecosystem in Bangladesh. Our study is grounded on these relevant theories. First, the technology acceptance model by Davis explains how perceived usefulness and ease of use drive technology adoption. This underpins our core dependent construct, the adoption. Next theory was the diffusion of innovation by Rogers, which helps us understand how innovation spread through a population, which can inform our variables like IT innovation acceptance and social influence. And finally, the UT-AUT2 model by Venkatesh and colleagues explains how hedonic motivation and habit supports the transition toward a new technological system. This underpins our constructs like intrinsic motivation and facilitating conditions. This is the conceptual framework of our study. In the left, we can see there are 5 independent variables, and on the right, there is a dependent variable, cashless society, and there are two mediators, initial trust and intrinsic motivation. In this study, we have studied 7 direct hypotheses and 10 indirect hypotheses through mediators. So here are our total 17 hypotheses. For methodology, this study follows a quantitative method through PLS-SEM analysis. We have gathered 369 primary data through non-probability purposive sampling. We targeted the Bangladeshi digital payment service user who are already exposed to the existing systems like bKash, Nagad, and the bank applications. Our instrument was a 5-point based Likert scale questionnaire. In the questionnaire, we have included the item validated from prior studies. For all the variables, we have included 5 or 6 items for each items. For data analysis, we have used SPSS SPSS version 25 for descriptive statistics and basic data screening. And after that, we have used Smart PLS 4 for the core analysis. The actual analysis was divided into 2 steps. First, in measurement model, we tested the reliability and validity of the dataset, and in structural model, we have actually tested the hypothesis if the projected hypothesis hold true or not. First, in the measurement model, we calculated the convergent validity and reliability. The cutoff value for all the loading values, Cronbach alpha and composite reliability was more than 0.7. And for average variant extracted, the cutoff value was 0.5. In the table, we can see that all the constructs are comfortably over the threshold. And When the reliability was confirmed, we tested the discriminant validity through HTMT ratio. All the constructs ratio was all the construct HTMT ratio was less than 0.9. And finally, we tested the explanatory power of the model through R square. We can see our model hold 0.71 R square value, which is quite strong. After that, we have tested the direct path analysis. For direct paths, facilitating conditions, perceived security, initial trust, and intrinsic motivation all showed significant positive effects on cashless society adoption, which is our hypothesis. Hypothesis 2, hypothesis 3, 6, and 7. These four direct hypothesis was accepted. On the other hand, digital financial literacy, social influence, and IT innovation acceptance did not show significant direct effects. Therefore, hypotheses 1, 4, and 5 were rejected. This tells us that infrastructure readiness, security, and personal motivations are stronger direct drivers than literacy, peer pressure, or technology enthusiasm. Moving on to the indirect path analysis, the initial trust significantly mediated the relationship between facilitating conditions, perceived security, and social influence on cashless adoption, which are our hypothesis 9, hypothesis 10, and hypothesis 11. The second mediator, intrinsic motivation, significantly mediated digital financial literacy, facilitating conditions, and perceived security, which were hypothesis 13, 14, and 15. These three indirect hypotheses were accepted. However, digital financial literacy through initial trust and IT innovation acceptance through both mediators and the social influence through intrinsic motivation was rejected. So these four indirect hypotheses we found rejected. Our discussion highlights four key findings. Facilitating conditions and perceived security are compulsory enablers. Without supporting infrastructure and security, adoption simply does not happen. Initial trust and intrinsic motivation are powerful driver when users find when users can trust a platform and find motivation in them for engaging with the technology, they find it personally rewarding to adopt this technology. The rejection of digital financial literacy, social influence, and IT innovation acceptance as direct drivers tells us that awareness, peer pressure, and novelty of a technology are not enough on their own. And for mediation, trust trust and motivation serve as critical psychological bridges, but only when the underlying conditions of security and infrastructure are already in place. To elaborate on these mediation findings through initial trust, facilitating conditions, perceived security, and social influence work because they create an environment where users feel safe and confident. Digital financial literacy and IT innovation acceptance were rejected through this path because knowledge and technological openness do not themselves generate institutional trust. Through intrinsic motivation, digital financial literacy, facilitating conditions, and perceived security succeeded because they make cashless system adoption a rewarding experience to the users. However, social influence and IT innovation acceptance were rejected through the intrinsic motivation mediator because external peer pressure does not translate into enthusiasm about using a cashless society when the user do not find genuine utility or insufficient motivation behind the adoption. These are the implications of our study. First, the practical implications. Business should focus on strengthening digital infrastructure and deploying robust security measures like biometric authentication and designing intuitive and a rewarding experience. Trust building and user satisfaction should be prioritized over PR campaigns, which is the finding from our social influence hypothesis getting rejected. On the policy side, government should enforce cybersecurity standards and expand interoperable payment gateways nationwide and create incentives for fintech innovation. Finally, a collaborative approach between regulators and service providers is essential for sustainable progress. To conclude, facilitating coordinations, and perceived security are the strongest direct drivers of cashless society adoption in Bangladesh. And our findings confirm that initial trust and intrinsic motivation significantly increase the willingness to embrace the cashless payment system. Therefore, infrastructure readiness, security, and user-centric design are the foundational requirements for Bangladesh transition to a cashless society. And like any studies, our studies also faced some limitations. The cross-sectional designs of our study limits the long-term observation, and the purposive sampling may not fully represent all the demographic groups in Bangladesh. And finally, the model focuses on some selected constructs. In future, there may be some few other constructs can be tested in this model. And for future research directions, longitudinal and multi-country investigations can generate broader insights for the cashless adoption dynamics. And for the future study, they can also expand the contract coverage like digital self-efficacy and platform trust for better understanding. And finally, qualitative mixed method studies can capture better experience and contextual nuance in overall behavior in Bangladesh. That's all from me. Thank you.
Good piece of work, sir. According to you, sir, any technological barrier preventing rural population in Bangladesh from adopting a digital platform or payment?
Yes, ma'am, because in the rural area of Bangladesh, there are not that much smartphone users.
Yes.
Basically, in the aged demographic, people do not feel comfortable using a smartphone or internet service for payment. And there is a trust issue because of, and there is a trust issue, so people do not engage with cashless payment systems yet.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Hi, sir, the key in regards to your study, okay, which factor initial, the trust issue or initial trust played a stronger role in driving the shift towards cashless adaptation. So what particular thing did you motivate on this? Why did you want to have this study?
We wanted to have this study because, sir, in the context we have explained, the cashless payment system is a growing relevance all over the world. But in our country, uh, cash is still the dominant payment system. The percentage of cashless payment is very low, so we wanted to investigate why the cashless payment system is not still widely accepted. This is the motivation. And from the previous literature, we found that the trust and the motivation is the main barrier for the adoption system. So this is why we tested this model.
But do you have like another study or probably planning to create a study or a system that address the problem for pursuing the cashless adaptation?
Yes, sir. So we had reviewed the existing literatures where the technological systems were mainly investigated, but we found that not in Bangladesh, technologies are present here, but the trust and the motivation is the main factor. Like people do not want to go cashless. So this is why we went with the trust and motivation framework. And so we can pursue the other models in future, like with other variables.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
Congratulations.
sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we will move to the next presenter. So the next we have Aditya Novaputra presenting the paper Human-Centric AI-Driven Social Media Intelligence, Linking Customer Trust, E-Warm, Purchase Intention, and Perceived Business Stability. Sir, are you in the meeting?
Yes, I'm here already.
Okay, you can present your screen and start the presentation.
All right, sure. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Yes, my name is Aditya Nova Putra, and at the moment, I'm presenting on behalf of our research team from Hotel Management Department at Binus University in Jakarta. So today I'm going to share. Let me screenshot for this one. Yeah, today I'm going to share the study with the title of Human-Centric AI-Driven Social Media Intelligence Linking Customer Trust, electronic word of mouth purchase intention, and perceived business sustainability. So yeah, I hope that in the next 10 minutes I'm going to give a clear picture of what we already found it in our study and what we found. So this is our presentation outline. So we begin with the introduction, why this research was needed, and then I will present that our literature review as well, and the 8 hypotheses that we already stated in this research. After that, I'm going to explain our research methodology. Afterwards, that we are going to take a look at the results from our research methodology, which is PLS SAM analysis. And finally, we are going to discuss what these findings means, both theoretically and for the practitioners as well. So let us begin with the chapter 1. So yeah, as we know already, the AI has been fundamentally changed of the brands communicate on the social media. So like at the moment, we have moved from the traditional broadcast content to personalized recommendations, chatbot interactions, AI-generated posts, and algorithm and ads targeting. So AI or artificial intelligence is no longer just a behind the scenes analytical tools. However, it is now a front-facing part of the how consumers experience the brand. At the same time, as we know that how social media has become the primary arena where the consumer from the purchase decision. As we know in Indonesia as well, in Jakarta, a lot of people right at the moment before they purchase something, they absolutely trying to take a look like the peer reviews, share the experience from the others, compare the opinions from the fellows, and they are seeking the recommendation before they buy. So this makes the trust, word of mouth, and purchase intention critically outcomes of any AI-driven marketing strategy. So beyond immediate purchase behavior, there is also growing interest in how AI analyze marketing shapes consumers of the brand long-term relevance, what we call perceived business sustainability. So the problem of this research that, as we found already, the study construct is basically isolations. One paper take a look at the AI and trust. Another paper that they are talking about the electronic warm and purchase intentions. Another looks at sustainability. No one has connected all 5 the variables into a single unified frameworks. So the gap that we address of our objective, how human-centric AI-driven social media marketing, as we abbreviate as HCSISM, affects customer trust, e-warm, purchase intention, and perceived business sustainability simultaneously. So yeah, I'm going to move forward into conceptual framework and our hypothesis in this research. I want you to read from the left to right. From the research on the far left, we have our independent variable, HCASM, which is a human-centric AI-driven social media marketing. This captures how consumer perceive AI enables brand communication on social media in terms of personalization, relevance, responsiveness, informativeness, interactively, and usefulness. From that point, we propose the 3 direct effects. From the hypothesis 1, we can take a look. SCSISM positively influence customer trust. Hypothesis 2, HCSAISM positively influence e-warm, meaning electronic word of mouth. Hypothesis 3, we can take a look. The HCAISM positively influence purchase intention. Moving to the middle of the framework, we do have the customer trust. Customer trust once established, we know that it drives into the E1, that is the hypothesis 4, and purchase intention on the hypothesis 5. So electronic bomb turns influence purchase intention. We can take a look in the hypothesis 6 and perceived business sustainability in hypothesis 7. And finally, purchase intention positively affects perceived business sustainability in hypothesis 8. So in total, we test the high hypothesis within the single integrated model. So all predicted relationships are positively and directional. Moving towards into the key theories and prior studies. So the first, our framework draws from 5 strings of established literature. So the first one, from the Schneiderman 2020, works on human-centered AI, provides the philosophical foundation. As we know that AI is supposed to support customer needs, foster meaningful interactions, and create trustworthy digital experience. The second one, AI enhance the marketing through personalization, engagement, service responsiveness, and decision support. The third one, the customer trust. We use the previous literature to trust lower perceived risk and uncertainty in digital context, enable EWOM and purchase behavior. So in the next one, the previous studies from the EWOM, we found that the customer generated recommendations carry higher credibility than firm generated advertising. And the last one would be the precise sustainability. It will be transparency, relevance, and human centers in AI deployment can signal long-term business sustainability. So yeah, I'm going to move forward into the methodology in this study. So we use the quantitative cross-sectional survey design. So our targeted population was actively social media users in Indonesia who had encountered AI-assisted or personalized brand communication within the past 6 months. So this includes things like personalized product development recommendations, chatbot replies, AI-generated advertisement, or automated brand response. We apply purposive sampling with 3 eligibility criteria. So as we know that respondents had to be at least 17 years old, as we know that they are actively using the social media at the moment and have had recent exposure to AI-enabled brand communication. So a total 230 failed responses were collected through online questionnaires using a 5 Likert scale. So the data as well were analyzed using the PLS SAM through the smart PLS software. So at the moment, I'm going to directly go into the result. So who are the respondents that we found? So the sample was predominantly female at 61%. The 61.3%, the largest age group was 21 to 25 years old, representing 42% of respondents, followed by those at age 70 to 20 at 28%. So there are young digitally active populations, which is, as we know, that Generation Z say at the moment. So in terms of education, 54.3% had a bachelor degree, and students made up the largest occupational group at 45.2%. The majority, 68%, reported using the social media several times, like the Instagram, TikTok, were the top platforms, which indicates 36 and 34% respectively. So the most common from AI brand communication encounter were personalized recommendations at 36.5%, which align well with the core of our HCAISM construct. So yeah, this is our construct reliability and validity. So as we know that all 5 constructs demonstrate strong reliability. Global alpha range from the 0.936 to into 0.959. So we ask indicates well above the 0.70 threshold. So as we know, all of it indicates and confirm as the strong reliability for the study. So, all right, this is the result. Moving to the structural model. So all the hypotheses for this study is basically supported statistically significant levels. So looking at the specific path coefficients, we know that all of it from the first hypothesis, SCI-ISM, on customer trust, this indicates the beta of 0.965. So this is extraordinarily high. As we know, it confirms that AI social media communication feels human-centered, personalized, responsive, and trustworthy. It almost fully predicts consumer trust in the brand. So the second strongest path is a warm on perceived business sustainability. So this tells us that this study tell us that peer recommendations are the most powerful driver of sustainability perceptions. When the people talk positively about the brand and want to recommend it, they signal that the brand is relevant and viable long term. So on the other hand, the weakest path is warm on purchase intention. So it's still significant, but considerably weaker than the direct effects from SCA, ISM, and trust, which is suggests that psychological confidence in the brand outweighs social proof as a driver of purchase intention. So yes, I'm going to move into the discussion basically. So what does it mean for the findings? So it's very interesting that we know that as a first research questions, our research first research questions, the result confirm when AI enable brand communications in perceived as a personalized, relevant, and responsive, consumer develop strong trust. This means that AI in marketing is no longer simply as a automations or targeting tool. We know that, in fact, trust building mechanisms, brands, and they deploy AI is in human center. We are essentially building psychological confidence among their audience. The second research question, this trust combined with the quality of AI brand content, also actively sharing the behavior and purchase intention. As we know, the customer who positively experience AI-driven are more likely to recommend the brand online and consider buying from it. So AI helps the convert passive exposure into the active engagement. The third research questions, we found that the trust is stronger driver of purchase intention than e-worm alone. The e-worm to purchase path is statistically insignificant. So we know that the weakest in the model, but this is having the suggestion that internal psychological confidence built through trust. So it's more decisive than external social influence in driving the decision to purchase. So the last hypothesis in the fourth research question, which is perceived business sustainability, is shaped primarily by e-worm and purchase intention when customers are talking positively about the brand and intending to buy from it. So yes, this is the implications, the practical implication and limitation. So yeah, I think it will be the last but not least for the slides itself. So let me now turn what our findings in practice and where this research has the boundaries. So the first one, as we know that for the brand managers and digital marketers, our recommendation is to design AI as a trust tool, not just a targeting tool. Relevance, transparency, and responsiveness, AI communication generate consumer confidence, and that confidence is the engine of the e-worm and purchase behavior. The second one, all the brands need to be able to invest in AI content quality over quantity. Content has feel shareable and credible generated organic peer recommendations. So with our data show, it indicates that the most powerful driver of the perceived long-term business sustainability. The third one, the maintain a consistent AI-driven brand voice across the platform, particularly in Instagram and TikTok, which our sample use most heavily. The fourth position of your use of AI as a part of broader sustainability narrative. So responsible, transparent AI deployment signal that your brand is adaptive and committed to long-term value creations. So the limitations, we know that the cross-sectional design, sample limited to Indonesia, and future study compare different social media platform, industry, and customer segments. So to conclude, let me leave you with the four key takeaways from this study. human-centric AI-driven social marketing is above all a trust-building mechanism. So explaining over 93% of the variance in customer trust. The second one, trust and AI brand exposure together, active both sharing behavior and purchase intention. The psychological and the social are more important, but the psychological is more stronger. The three, EWOM is the primary driver of perceived business sustainability. Brands that inspire peer advocacy seems to be more longer sprayers. So the four would be all the hypotheses were supported, but we are transparent with we know that it requires the future measurement refinement. So yeah, I think it would be my presentation for today. Thank you so much. I hope that you guys have enjoy my presentation. Thank you.
Good piece of research, sir. How your framework comply with data privacy regulations and ethical AI principles?
All right. So my framework is basically driven like for all the peoples who already notice that the AI is really assisting their buying behavior at the moment. So the data that basically confirmed at the moment, we know that all of it are generated into the GEO at the moment. So compared to SEO at the moment, so they are trying to take a look to search the recommendation, for example, to buy the fashion or the food itself through the AI, through using the GEO. So at the moment, I think that's my answer.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Sir, in regards to how does the consumer trust influence the link between EWOM and the actual purchase intention on your model?
All right, the customer trust. Yeah, we know that the customer trust, previously, as we know that the customer trust at the moment really recommend the people to drive, to start something, to drive the awareness from the GEO. So at the moment, all of the people especially in Jakarta, they will trust something from the electronic word of mouth. So they will take a look like with the review. They will take a look absolutely from the people who actually already doing the UCG or user generated content. So that's basically the people more having the trust with their things. So the EWOM, I mean, the people will absolutely trying to doing some user generated content. They did the recommendation to the other people. So that's they basically will be linking into the trust for the people to buy something, to go somewhere. So I mean that that's the in Jakarta basically there is no loyal customer at the moment. They just trying to believe in the UGC. With the people who already using the electronic word of mouth, using the testimonial, using their social media reviews.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
so
sir.
much.
So we'll move to the next presentation now. So next we have the author Shiva Shankar presenting their paper Implementation of an Artificial Intelligence-Based Eco-Vision Framework for Economic Forecasting. Sir, you are in the meeting. Shiva Shankar. If he is not, we can move to the next presentation. Next, we have R. Suganya presenting her paper Smart Surveillance System for Weapon and Violence Detection. Ma'am, are you in the meeting?
I'm here.
Yes, you can present your screen and start the presentation.
Actually, I'm facing issue in sharing my screen through laptop. Shall I present it via phone? Sorry for the inconvenience.
Is
Ma'am,
it fine
you
with
can
the...
share a PPT in chat. We'll share it happy.
Can I share it to the person who is hosting?
Yes, yes.
How to share? Like,
In chat, in this
hello,
team,
sir. Couldn't hear you. How to share my presentation?
yes, in this chat, you can share, or you can send via email in support
Okay,
ID.
sure. Support, I'll send via
Yes, yes.
email.
Meanwhile, Srushti will take next, and then we take.
Okay, fine, sir. We can move to the next presentation. So next we have Melati Budi Srikandi presenting her paper on the role of AI in information curation on social media and its impact on public agenda setting. Ma'am, are you in the meeting? Melati Srikandi.
I'm presented.
Yes, you can present your screen and start the presentation.
Okay. Wait a minute. Hmm. Why I can't share the screen?
Yes, I have given the access. You can share the screen.
Okay, wait. Berarti aku harus ini. Iya. Tapi tetap bisa. Wait. Is my presentation already?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible. You can start presenting. You have 12 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good morning, everyone. Have you ever wondered why two people using the same social media platform can see completely different information? One person may constantly see political news while another mostly sees entertainment content. This happens because social media platforms use artificial intelligence to decide what information we see every day. That is why I inspired this research. My name is Melati Budi Srikandi from Universitas Pendidikan Nasional in Bali, Indonesia. In this presentation, I will discuss how AI-driven algorithm-shape information exposure, influence public attention, and potentially transform the agenda-setting process in the digital era. Okay, to understand today's media environment, let's first look at the past. Traditionally, newspaper, television stations, and news organizations had editors who decided which story were important. These editors acted as gatekeeper. They selected information before it reached the public. Today, the role is increasingly performed by algorithm. Instead of asking, is this information important? Algorithm often asks, will people engage with this content? As a result, visibility is no longer based only on journalistic judgment. It's also shaped by clicks, likes, share, and watch time. This creates a new challenge because we often do not know how these decisions are made. So the problem is AI opacity creates selective visibility and bias exposure. So then the impact is potential erosion of democratic discourse and public trust. When discussing social media, many people immediately talk about echo chamber or filter bubbles. These concepts are useful, but they do not fully explain what is happening. The bigger question is, how exactly do algorithms influence what people pay attention to? And how does that influence public discussion? The current research has not completely answered this question. As shown in the puzzle illustration, there is still a missing piece. So the gap is the lack of detailed empirical research on how algorithms influence audience engagement and information exposure. Then we need to reconceptualizing agenda setting theories for the AI era. To address the research gap, this study focused on four main objectives. The first is to examine how AI curates content on social media and determines what information users see. The second is to analyze how this curation influences public agenda setting and public attention. The third is to evaluate whether traditional gatekeeping theories still apply in an environment increasingly shaped by algorithms. And finally, to synthesize existing discussion on algorithmic literacy, transparency, and accountability. So together, these objectives help us to understand how AI is reshaping the relationship between media, audience, and public opinion. Okay, to understand AI's influence on public opinion, this study proposed a new way of looking at agenda setting. At the center, this framework is algorithm agenda setting, which suggests that algorithms are not just a neutral tools, they actively influence which topic become visible, important, and widely discussed. As shown in the diagram, this process occurs at the intersection of three dimensions. The first is technical logic, referring to how algorithm as active agent shaping issue salience. The second is social engagement, where user interactions such as likes, comment, and share influence content visibility. And the third is political narrative, which reflects how platforms shape public and political communication. Supporting this dimension are concepts such as socio-technical filters, platform logic, and mediation, which help explain the growing role of platforms in society. Together, these elements show that agenda setting is no longer driven only by traditional media, but increasingly by algorithm system. So let's move to the methodology. This research began in the Scopus database. My research is used systematic literature review. The search is began in the Scopus database and identified 678 articles related on AI, social media, and public opinion. Then the several screening steps were then applied, including publication year, subject area, document type, and language, English only. After removing studies that did not meet the criteria, 72 articles remained for full text review. And finally, 22 high-quality studies were selected for detailed analysis. These 22 studies provide the evidence base for the finding presented in this research. So we move to reconceptualizing. This is the theoretical framework. Yeah, reconceptualizing agenda setting in the AI era. Before social media, the flow information was relatively simple. News organization produced content, then editor decided what was important, and the public received largely the same information. And today, that model has changed dramatically. Yeah. Instead of editor acting as the main gatekeepers, algorithm now play a central role. Social media platforms collect data about our behavior, such as what we click, like, share, and watch. Based on this data, AI system predict what content will keep us engaged and then personalize our feed. As a result, different people are exposed to different information, even when using the same platform. This creates a more fragmented public sphere where individuals may develop very different understanding of the same issues. The case is that information is no longer primarily shaped by editorial judgment. It is increasingly shaped by algorithmic decision driven user by engagement. This decentralization of media power has transformed how public agendas are formed and how people understand the world around them. Now that we understand how media power has shifted, the next question is how algorithms decide what we see. This slide explains the process of what researchers call selective visibility. First is AI system personalized content based on our behavior, such as clicks, likes, shares, and viewing story. The second is algorithm use automated filters that prioritize content likely to generate engagement. As a result, attention-grabbing content often receive greater visibility than more nuanced or complex information. The third is this creates a feedback loop. The more people engage with certain content, the more the algorithm promotes it, which leads to even more engagement. Over time, some topics become highly visible and dominate public attention, while other important issues receive very little exposure. The key point is that algorithms do not simply organize information. They actively shape what gains attention and what remains largely unseen. This process influences not only individual user, but also the issues that become part of the broader agenda. Okay, one of the most significant consequences of algorithmic curation is the rise of polarization and disinformation. Algorithmic curation shapes what we see and depend how we divide. As we discussed earlier, algorithms tend to show user content that match their interests and existing beliefs. Over time, this can create what we call echo chamber, environments where people are repeatedly exposed to similar viewpoints while alternative perspectives become less visible. In the illustration, we see that each group believes its own perspective is correct, while viewing the other side is wrong. As the group become more isolated, meaningful dialogue becomes increasingly difficult. The bridge between them begins to break down. So this process has several important effects. The first is it reinforces social media ideological divisions. The second is it increases audience homophily, meaning people interact mostly with others who think like them. The third is it creates opportunities for misinformation and disinformation to spread more easily within a closed network. Ultimately, these dynamics can
Ma'am,
be.
sorry to interrupt, but 10 minutes have passed. Can you please complete the next in 2 minutes?
Okay. I'm moving toward the conclusion.
Please, you can take your time. You have 2 minutes.
Pardon me?
You have 2 minutes. You can complete it within the next
Okay. Okay. Okay, thank you. So based on the literature, I propose a new conceptual framework for understanding how AI influence public agenda setting. The process began with user data and platform logic. So this information enters an AI curation system. Then the algorithm filter, prioritize, and amplify content. As a result, user experience selective visibility. Over time, the shape of public agendas can contribute to fragmentation and polarization. So algorithms don't just reflect the public agenda, but they actively shape it. So these findings have important implication. For scholars, they suggest that media studies and computational science would work more closely together. For policymakers, they highlight the importance of promoting algorithm literacy. And for technology companies, they emphasize the need for transparency and accountability. And for future research, they open new opportunities to investigate how algorithm system influence society. And the last, let me conclude with one key message. AI is no longer just a tool for finding information. It has become an active gatekeeper that influence what we see, what we discuss, and what we consider important. The challenge is not that information diversity has disappeared. Rather, diversity is increasingly filtered through algorithms that operate largely behind the scenes. Therefore, transparency, accountability, and algorithmic literacy are more important than ever. As AI continues to shape our information environment, understand how this system works is essential for protecting informed public discussion and democratic values. Thank you for your attention. I think that's all for my presentation.
Yes, ma'am, you presented very well. So I have one question that any role of sentiment analysis play in context prioritization? Like any role of sentiment analysis in your work for context prioritization?
Sorry, ma'am, can you repeat
Yes,
your
I'm
question?
repeating. Yes, yes. Any role of sentiment analysis play in context prioritization according to you in your work? Any role of sentiment analysis? Like in your work, you are talking about social risk, right? So any role of sentiment analysis related to AI?
Yes, sentimental analysis on
Yes.
social media is like racism,
Hmm.
and then religion and something like that. Sarah. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Hi, ma'am. Good afternoon. I would like to ask on your study about does AI-driven content curation risk narrowing public discourse or rather than broadening it? I mean, your study is content creation risks. Is it, narrowing the public discourse or rather than broadening it?
Okay, AI-driven algorithm influence with issues gain visibility, attention, and public discussion. Jadi AI plays a significant role in shaping public agendas and opinions. Understanding this influence is essential to address challenges such as filter bubbles, echo chamber, misinformation, and digital polarization.
So, in this situation that you have right now, what do you see the biggest, real world challenge to implement or adapting your proposed approach?
The algorithm transparency, accountability, um, yeah, I think the algorithm transparency is the biggest challenge because we don't know how this AI record our behavior in the social media. So
Okay.
it's become a echo chamber and filter bubble. What we often see, this information will come to audience is more often than the information. Maybe that's an information that we don't know. The less information that we see, we watch, and we read.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Let's move on to the next presentation. Next, we have Helmi Vijaya with the paper title Understanding Customer Behavioral Intention Toward Hotel Online Check Insights from the Technology Acceptance Model. Do we have him in the meeting?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, you can present your screen and start the presentation.
All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, respected members of the TIBS 2026 Conference Committee, fellow researchers, and participants. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the TIBS 2026 Conference Committee for providing us with this valuable opportunity to present our work today. My name is Helmi Wijaya, and today I have the pleasure of representing a collaborative research project conducted together with my co-authors, Valencia Rika Wijaya, Ferran Jetson Clevano, and Ikhwan Masnadi. Our study is entitled Understanding Customer Behavioral Intentions Toward Hotel Online Check-in. Insights from the Technology Acceptance Model. This study aims to understand how hotel customers perceive online check-in technology and identify the factors that influence their intention to adopt this service, particularly within the Indonesian hospitality context. Moving on to the next slide is background. The hospitality industry is currently undergoing rapid digital transformation. Hotels around the world, including Indonesia, are increasingly integrating digital technologies into their operation and guest services. One example is online check-in, which enables guests to complete the check-in process before arriving at the hotel through a mobile application or website. Major international hotel chains such as Marriott International and Hilton Worldwide have already adopted this technology as part of their digitalization strategy. However, introducing technology does not automatically guarantee customer adoption. To improve adoption rates, it is important to understand how customers perceive these technologies and what motivates them to use them. Therefore, this study applies the Technology Acceptance Model, or TAM, to explain customer acceptance of hotel online check-in services. Moving on is research gap and objectives. Although numerous studies have applied TAM to examine technology adoption, most of them were conducted in developed countries. Research specifically examining hotel online check-in in Indonesia remains limited. Furthermore, previous studies have generally focused on management perspectives rather than customer perspectives. Studies conducted in Jakarta are also still scarce, despite Jakarta being a metropolitan city with high number of tourists and business travelers, whose behaviors may differ from those in other regions. And therefore, this study has three objectives. First, to analyze the effects of perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use on customers' attitudes toward online check-in. Second, to analyze the effect of attitude on customers' intention to use online check-in. Third, to examine whether attitude mediates the relationship between customers' perceptions and their behavioral intentions. Moving on. This research is based on the technology acceptance model developed by Fred Davis in 1989. Tam explains why individuals accept or reject a technology. This model consists of four main variables that we use. First is perceived usefulness, which refers to the extent to which customers believe that online check-in provides real benefits such as saving time, avoiding long queues, and increasing flexibility before arrival. Second one is perceived ease of use, which refers to customers' perceptions that the online check-in process is simple, easy to understand, and effortless to use. The third is attitude toward use, which represent customers' positive or negative feelings toward using online check-in. And finally, intention to use. Intention to use reflect customers' willingness to continue using online check-in services in the future. According to Tam, when people perceive a technology as useful and easy to use, they tend to develop positive attitudes, which eventually influence their behavioral intentions. Next one is hypothesis and conceptual framework. Based on Tam and previous studies, we propose 7 hypotheses. We hypothesize that perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use directly influence customers' intention to use online check-in. We also propose that both variables positively influence customers' attitudes toward online check-in. And furthermore, we hypothesize that attitude positively affects intention to use. Finally, we propose that attitude mediates the effects of perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use on customers' intentions. And in other words, we expected that customers' perceptions first shape their attitudes, and these attitudes subsequently influence their intentions to use online check-in services in hotels. Moving on is research methodology. This study employed a quantitative explanatory research design based on technology acceptance model. We collected data from 150 respondents who met 4 criteria. They were at least 17 years old, lived in Jakarta, and were familiar with hotel online check-in technology. The respondents were selected using purposive sampling, and the data were collected through online questionnaires using a 5-point Likert scale. For data analysis, we use structural equation modeling with partial least squares or PLS-SEM. And this method allowed us to evaluate both the measurement model and structural relationships among the variables, including the mediation effects. For the respondent demographics, the respondent profile shows an almost balanced gender distribution with approximately 51% female and 49% male respondents. Most respondents were between 17 and 24 years old, indicating that the sample mainly consisted of young and technologically familiar individuals. And the largest occupational groups were private employees and students. And finally, most respondents stayed at hotels for leisure purposes rather than business purposes. Overall, our respondents represent digitally active consumers who frequently interact with hospitality technologies. Moving on to measurement model results. Before testing the hypothesis, we evaluated the reliability and validity of the measurement model. And all indicator loadings exceeded the recommended threshold of 0.7, demonstrating satisfactory indicator reliability. And in addition, the values of Cronbach's alpha or CA and composite reliability or CR were above the minimum requirements, indicating good internal consistency. Finally, all average variance extracted or AVE values exceeded 0.50, confirming convergent validity. And therefore, we concluded that the measurement model was both valid and reliable and suitable for further analysis. Next one is hypothesis testing results. The findings produce several interesting insights. First, perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use did not directly affect customers' intention to use online check-in. Therefore, hypothesis 1 and 2 were not supported. Statistically, both relationships failed to meet the significance criteria as their t-values were below the recommended threshold of 1.96 and their p-values were greater than 0.05. This indicates that there is insufficient evidence to conclude that usefulness and ease of use directly increase customers' intentions to use online check-in technology. However, both variables significantly influence customers' attitudes toward online check-in. Moreover, attitudes significantly and positively affected intention to use. The mediation analysis revealed that attitude fully mediated the relationships between perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use, and intention to use. This finding suggests that customers do not decide to use online check-in simply because it is useful or easy. Instead, usefulness and ease of use first create positive feelings toward the service, and these positive feelings eventually encourage customers to adopt the technology. Next up is discussion. One of the most important findings of this study is that customer experience and effective responses play a strong role than functional benefits alone. Although customers recognize that online check-in is useful and easy to use, these perceptions do not directly translate into behavioral intentions. This may occur because hotel services are experiential in nature. When making decisions, customers often rely on feelings, trust, enjoyment, and overall digital experience. Therefore, attitude becomes the strongest predictor of intention to use online check-in. From a practical perspective, hotels should not only focus on operational efficiency, they should also improve the overall digital experience by creating attractive and user-friendly interfaces, providing clear instructions, and continuously improving digital services based on customer feedback. And these strategies can foster positive customer attitudes and ultimately increase the adoption of online check-in technologies. For the conclusion, in conclusion, this study demonstrates that perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use significantly influence customers' attitudes toward online check-in. I'm sorry, I will repeat the slide. In conclusion, this study demonstrates that perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use significantly influence customers' attitudes toward online check-in. Customers' attitudes, in turn, strongly predict their intention to use technologies. And furthermore, attitude fully mediates the relationships between cognitive perceptions and behavioral intentions. These findings suggest that effective responses and customer experiences play essential roles in the adoption of hospitality technologies. However, the study also has several limitations. First, our respondents were limited to Jakarta, which may reduce generalizability of the findings to other regions or countries with different cultural backgrounds. Second, this study only examined the core constructs of the technology acceptance model and did not include other factors that may influence customers' behavior, such as trust, perceived risk, and technology readiness. Therefore, future studies are encouraged to expand the respondents' coverage beyond Jakarta, include older age groups and non-metropolitan populations, and incorporate additional variables and qualitative approaches to gain a deeper understanding of customers' experiences with technology-based services. That concludes my presentation. Thank you once again to the TIBS 2026 Conference Committee and to all participants for your attention and interest in our study. I will be delighted to answer any questions and discuss our research further. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Your title of research is quite interesting. In your customer behavioral intentions toward hotel online check-in, how might cultural differences influence technology acceptance in hospitality services?
I'm
Like,
sorry, ma'am, can you repeat the question
yes,
one more time?
how might cultural differences, right, influence technology acceptance in hospitality services in online check-in?
Okay, we considered that variable as well because we conducted the research in Jakarta. Jakarta is the capital city of Indonesia, so most of the people is aware of the technology. Most of them can use the technology, and we also considered that maybe these technologies are not really that familiar into some other more rural area and more remote area other than the metropolitan city. So that also will be affecting the adoption of these technologies, but we didn't include the variables in our research.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, sir. In regards to your study, okay, you're actually using TAM. So, which TAM factor perceive usefulness or perceive ease of use it was more influential in shaping the guest's willingness to use the online check-in?
Thank you very much for your question, sir. 1 second, let me check with my colleagues first for the data to make sure.
Okay.
All right, let me answer your question. Based on our findings, perceived usefulness was slightly more influential than perceived ease of use in shaping guests' attitudes toward online check-in, because the guests who use the technologies consider this as convenient, efficient, and time-saving. So, based on these factors, they think that it's easy to use and beneficial for them. So it influence more on their adoption to this technology.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Moving to the next presentation, we have R. Suganya presenting her paper, Smart Surveillance System for Weapon and Violence Detection. Ma'am, can you now present your screen?
First of all, good afternoon to one and all present here, and sorry for the inconvenience caused from my end due to technical glitches. So, without any further delay, let me start my presentation. My paper is Smart Surveillance System for Weapon and Violence Detection. The ideology of my paper is to detect weapon and violence from the smart surveillance CCTV so that it will be helpful for the one who is in danger zone. Sometimes the fight happens between a people that cannot be resolved quickly, but my ideology is that can be resolved easily by surveillance camera. So the problem with the traditional CCTV, traditional CCTV captures the video and it cannot prevent the unwanted event. Unwanted event, I am meaning, is like the fights between the people, attacks between the people. So we cannot prevent that. So in traditional CCTV, so after the actual event has happened, so we'll view the camera and we'll try to find the exact case. But the result is already the unwanted event has occurred, so which has caused very much difficulty for the public. So the traditional CCTV has few drawbacks with this case. First one is passive by design. We will review only after the event has occurred. Next is human dependent. So we usually rely on a security personnel or some guard or the person who is looking around the organization to view the video and detect the exact cause. So this is a human dependent one. The reactive, not preventive. So response arrives after the exact thing has happened. So which is very difficult for the one who is around, in and around the environment. So that is the problem faced with the traditional CCTV and doesn't scale if at all the organization is very large, so like schools or malls or very large organization, so it cannot capture the video exactly, so it faces few issues. So these are the problem with the existing system. So moving on to my findings, that is research gap. So prior work optimizes a single threat type in isolation. So we had a system where the violence can be detected separately, and finding the weapon knives or a gun or similar kind of weapons, it is detected separately. So the violence and weapons we usually detect it separately, but in our module what we have worked is towards merging a violence and weapon detection system. so that it will be useful for the public. Next, few pipelines run live at deployable frame rates. So only few pipelines in a sense. A testing phase, in case of testing phase, some conditions work fine. But in case of deployment, consider recording the video. So you have 30 frames per second, but in the deployment phase, only 5 frames can be analyzed correctly. So this is the gap I have analyzed in my previous by studying literature survey with my previous work. And next is detection and alerting are often decoupled systems. Yes, sometimes, so we have a module where we'll send an alert to the user, plus the deduction we'll send separately. So that is also a gap identified by us to resolve in our work. So this is the research gap and motivation for us to start this work. So main objective, as I stated, so we are going to detect the weapon and violence in the crowded area. We cannot detect, right? So in the crowded area, some mishappenings or some theft is happening. So it can be easily detected via our smart surveillance CCTV along with AI. We have incorporated AI technology. And what is a flow? Like first, we'll detect the weapon. So if some person is having a knife or a gun with him, so we just detect the weapons. So at initial stage, we are not going to give any alert messages. Next, we are going to classify their behavior, whether the person is acting arrogantly or rudely, making some fights, or they are attacking other persons. So such a kind of behavior is analyzed via our system. So we use CNN to analyze this, and for detecting weapon, we use YOLO algorithm. And first and second step is almost done. So once the behavior is suspicious, so what we are doing is, so the video along with AI model embedded, it immediately sends a notification to the security personnel who is available at that particular location, and it gives a notification to the user. Some mishappenings is there in the specific place. Please see to it and resolve the issue. So immediately, within fraction of seconds, the message, less than a second, the message gets transmitted to the person who is in charge in that particular location. So this is our objective. So moving on to the workflow, CCTV actually captures the video. Next, a Flask server, it distributes the video like frame by frame. It is distributing. Frame distribution is done, and each frame after distribution, like after partitioning or after separating as a frame by frame. So we send those frames to a weapon detection module and violence detection module. So both work is done. Then we use MQTT. So message queuing telemetry transport. Via this, we send a message either to the dashboard or an alert system. It could be a mobile phone, or the database logs as well will be recorded in this particular work. So this is the workflow of our work. So single pipeline splits each frame into 2 detectors, then broadcast via MQTT. So the parallel processing is done here. And next is experimental setup. So technology stack we have used for our project is front-end React.js, back-end Flask, in violence for CCN, and weapon module YOLO, and for messaging MQTT. So the evaluation protocol, so live detection of CCTV for footage, and the like environment could be anything. Maybe it is the crowded area, or the people with the area with less people. So for all the situation, it works. And after performing the analysis, we could arrive at a conclusion. Our mean precision rate, accuracy precision is 50% in case of violence, in case of weapon detection. So violence detection, it is 96% we got accuracy. One more big advantage of our system is it is actually sending the message to the person within less than 1 second, which is very much impact for the one to take an action. So this is our technology stack and evaluation protocol. And this is just a survey of our work. So detection performed by the module. So 96 percentage weapon detection. So 55.3 percentage, and violence accuracy 96 percentage. So moving on to the next one, as I stated, the advantage I'm speaking about my work is not my work. Along with my colleagues, we have analyzed this work, and we came up with a result. And what we have achieved is 25 to 30 frame per second. So it can capture or it can analyze the video of 25 to 30 frame per second. Plus, it sends a notification within less than 1 second and live. So even the one incident which is happening live can be analyzed, and it can be taken into an account for a cause of unwanted event or unwanted circumstance can be avoided by analyzing these techniques. So sustained 25 to 30 frames per second with sub-second alerts and fast enough to intervene. So this is our plus. Next significance, this shifts surveillance from forensic review to live production. Is of course it is giving a live protection, a dual threat coverage. So dual threat coverage in the sense, so it is detecting a weapon and violence parallelly. So it is very much useful. No human intervention. So we do not rely on human beings. So as I mentioned in the starting of the slide, so we rely on the security personnel or the guard around the area to look after any unwanted events happen. But in this case, we just get a help from AI only after event occurred. So we'll have some preventive measures. But so here we are not allowing the exact event to happen itself. So that is one of the biggest plus. It could save the one who's in the danger zone. So very much needed. So next is intervention window. So low latency converts monitoring into a preventive action. So preventive action could be either that we can rely on the human being for taking an action. So this is another significant advantages of our work. So like what can I suggest in future? Like dual detection. So these are the features of our work. So dual detection, real-time alerting, modular and scalable, a drop-in integration. So what can be our future direction is multi-camera synchronization. So sometimes the camera 1 and camera 2 can be fixed at the specific location, and we could incorporate AI in camera 2 as well, and we can use it for the future work. And Edge AI is we can focus on our local machine as well rather than storing the details in the cloud. And LSTM temporal analysis, this is short-term memory temporal analysis. So here for richer context, we use this can be used in future. So we even have limitation in our work. That is, we have achieved only 55% of accuracy. So only frame level is focused here, and the camera we relay is only on the single camera. So this is the limitation of our work and the future directions. And coming to the conclusion, AI turns every camera into a proactive guardian. Yes, of course, I agree with this term. So it could save life of the one who is suffering. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to present in this conference. And thank you, one and all present here.
Yes, you presented very well, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
So here surveillance is through video, right? So in multimodal data, or we can say could multimodal data like video and audio improve the violence detection accuracy in your work?
Ma'am, could you please repeat the question, ma'am?
Yes. Like could multimodal data like audio and video improve the violence detection accuracy according to you?
Yes, ma'am, it could improve the violence detection accuracy. The reason, because we are using YOLO and CNN. So, a combined one, it could make you even better results.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Congratulations.
ma'am.
Okay, for smart surveillance system, okay, weapon and violence detection, I just want to know, how does your system minimize false alarms when detecting weapons or violent behavior real time?
uh, through data sets. So we have collected many data, even real life images, and through that, so you have the one who's using, like, it is a combination of both, though it could identify weapon and violence as well. So if the person is just purchasing the knife, that is not a problem. So there's some kind of behavioral action. So you just make a person to slap, or you just try to attack that person, then it could send you an alarm. It
So
will
it's
not
I'm sorry. So it's more your data set is on
actions.
actions,
Yes.
pictures of actions.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
is it difficult because you can misinform or mistrain the data if, like, it's not really stabbing you or what? It's just,
Okay.
giving you something like, that's a basic example of it.
Uh, like.
Like, I mean, the limitation of your data sets, how many data sets do you have, making sure that that person is attacking you or not.
Okay, probably there may be a situation where, while working with this research, I came across a false alarm as well. But I'm up using, so we have used many data sets to resolve this issue. So once the machine is trained well, so the problem of giving false alerts got reduced. So even while working, so we faced this issue. So this is what we did for resolving.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Let's move on to the next paper. Actually, we had one paper remaining from the last presentation, so we are concluding those right now.
Okay. Can I start my presentation?
Just a second. Yes, you can start with your presentation.
Okay.
Just share your screen and
Yes. Is the screen visible? Is the screen visible?
yes, it's
Yes,
visible.
sir,
You
it
can
is
start.
visible.
Okay. Okay. First of all, I'm really glad for giving me this second chance for the presentation. So without wasting much time, let me start with it. I'm Kaveti Nani Karthik, and today I'll be presenting our paper titled A Unified Perspective on Bias Detection and Fairness Auditing in Large Language Models, co-authored with Tanuja Patanshetty from the Department of Computer Engineering at COAP Technological University. The main objective of this work is to study the current landscape of bias detection and fairness auditing in the LLMs, analyze the strengths and the limitations of existing approaches, identify key research gaps, and discuss a unified framework for comprehensive fairness evaluation. With that, let us begin with the understanding of why bias in LLMs has become such an important research problem. So, LLMs have advanced natural language processing by generating human-like text, performing reasoning. But because they are trained on massive data sets from various online resources, they inherit human biases and social prejudices. Consequently, these models can unintentionally produce unfair or biased responses. For example, with certain professions for a particular gender, we could see that, let's say, males are probably uh, identified with doctors, or like some police people, like that, whereas women's would be associated with nurse or housewife in that way. So researchers have therefore focused on developing methods to detect, evaluate, and mitigate bias in large language models. But the existing solutions are often fragmented with different studies focusing on different bias types, which brings me to the goal of of our goal, which is to develop a unified perspective of bias detection and fairness auditing system. Now, having understood why bias in LLMs are important concern, let us now look at the research, how research in this area has evolved. So the studies on bias in LLP focus on what is known as embedding level bias detection. The researchers discovered that these embeddings often reflected societal stereotypes present in the training data. One of the most influential studies in this area was conducted by Kaliskin and his colleagues, who introduced WET, which is known as the Word Embedding Association Test. This method measured bias by analyzing associations between target words and attribute using cosine similarity. However, they had an important limitation, which was, since word embeddings are static representations, they cannot capture the context in which words are used. The meaning of a word often depends on surrounding sentence, but embedding based methods treat such words independently. As large language models became more advanced and context aware, researchers realized that these bias could no longer be studied only at a word level. This led to the next stage of research, which is the contextual bias detection in transformer based language models. So, modern language models such as BERT or GPT, they generate contextual representations, meaning that the interpretation of a word depends on the surrounding sentence. While this improved language understanding, it also made bias detection significantly more challenging. To address this, researchers extended earlier embedding based techniques, which was word embedding, WEAT. So they extended that one into a sentence encoder association test, or SEAT, which basically adapts the principles of WEAT to contextual embeddings. Researchers also began evaluating bias through downstream NLP tasks such as co-reference resolution and mass language modeling. For example, the doctor said that he would arrive soon. If you consider this sentence, even in this context, it does not specify the gender. It still identifies that the doctor is a male. So, similarly, these findings demonstrated an important insight. But, however, contextual understanding does not automatically eliminate bias. Instead, bias becomes more complex and can be distributed across multiple layers of the model. However, these methods also introduce new challenges. The evaluation process became more computationally expensive and more difficult to interpret and heavily dependent on specific benchmark datasets. As researchers contributed to uncover these limitations, the attention gradually shifted from merely detecting bias to actively reducing and mitigating it. This led to the development of fairness aware algorithms and bias mitigation techniques, which we'll discuss in the next slide. So, in the fairness mitigation techniques, uh, one of the most widely studied approaches is adversarial debiasing. In this technique, the model is trained to perform its primary task while simultaneously preventing another network from predicting sensitive attributes such as gender or race. As a result, the learned representations become less dependent on demographic information. Another important technique is CDA, which is also known as counterfactual data augmentation. Here, the new training examples are generated by replacing demographic attributes within the text. For example, a sentence containing the word man can be transformed into a corresponding sentence containing the word woman. Similarly, profession or demographic references can be swapped to create balanced training samples. This reduces the model's reliance on biased associations present in the original dataset. To support fairness evaluation and mitigation, several fairness toolkits were also introduced, such as AI Fairness 360 and FairLearn, which provided standardized metrics for measuring fairness and implementing debiasing strategies. However, these methods, important challenge still remains, which was in many cases, improving fairness can negatively affect the model performance, accuracy, or fluency. This creates what is commonly known as fairness performance trade off, which, in other words, we can say that reducing bias is important, but doing so many times can decrease the overall performance of the model. And in fairness performance trade off, the researchers must balance ethical consideration with practical model effectiveness. Although these mitigation techniques are valuable, evaluating their effectiveness requires reliable benchmark datasets. This motivated the development of specialized uh, designed this motivated the development of specialized datasets designed specifically for bias and fairness assessment. So these are the four major benchmark datasets on which many researchers have worked. One is the stereo set, then follows Crowes space, holistic bias, and toxygen. And over here we can see that holistic bias provides the broadest coverage because it includes demographic and intersectional bias categories. Stereo set and Crowes pairs offer moderate coverage, focusing mainly on specific social stereotypes, while Toxygen is primarily designed for evaluating toxicity related bias. The key observation here is that no single dataset provides comprehensive coverage of all bias dimension. Each dataset focuses on particular aspect of fairness evaluation. And this highlights one of the major challenges in bias assessment and motivates the need for integrating multiple datasets to achieve a more comprehensive and reliable evaluation of the fairness in LLMs. Now, the following research gaps that I have identified in the survey was one of the first research gap is the fragmented bias evaluation. Most existing studies focus only on one aspect of fairness pipelines, such as detection, evaluation, or mitigation. As a result, there is no integrated framework that combines all these stages into a single auditing process. The second gap is limited to intersectional bias analysis. Most benchmark
Excuse
datasets,
me.
yes.
Just a reminder, 10 minutes have passed. You can continue.
Okay. The second bias is limited to intersectional bias analysis. And another challenge is a lack of standardized fairness metrics. Uh, Different researchers use different evaluation measures. And we also observe significant dataset fragmentation. And the fifth gap is the fairness performance trade-off. Finally, many current approaches have limited real-time scalability, with most auditing methods are designed for offline evaluation. And this brings to my problem statement where current fairness audits for LLMs focus mainly on single bias category and lack active feedback mechanisms to offer safe, corrected outputs. This approach prevents comprehensive evaluation and makes auditing at scale challenging, creating a critical need for a unified modular framework that can deliver standardized real-time fairness audits and mitigation. So the proposed unified dataset pipeline. So earlier, if we have seen, many of the models that the other researchers were worked were specifically for one dataset. So what I'm proposing is we can merge all the existing datasets because the idea is to create a unified modular framework. So I propose that if we merge the other datasets that are available, so we can do that by first collecting the data source and then applying the selection criteria and like the in all the data sets the contents might be different, so by uh, finalizing the only required contents and also labeling them and aligning them properly and then doing the regular pre-processing techniques, and then finally we get the unified data set output. And now this is the auditing framework where we can see the user would submit a query over here, and then the LLM would generate a raw response. And once the raw response is generated, it undergoes to parallel detection of bias models. As in over here, we can see there is gender bias module, racial bias, toxicity, and there can be other bias modules, like depending on the need. If we find out a very good data set for, let's say, religion bias data set, then we can also attach that module. Anyways, so once the raw response is generated, with the bias scoring and aggregation, we'll figure it out with like what bias does a statement or the raw response has. And then after that, with the threshold value, we'll compare the fairness score. And if the fairness score is more than the threshold value, then we can say that okay, there is no need to, I mean, the sentence is unbiased and it is completely fair. But let's say if it is less than the threshold value, then there are other options like to rewrite or filter or to remove that. So there are the other options given. And once the user performs that, and once the user is finally satisfied, then the user will get a final output. And over here is the algorithm for that. where we require basically the user query.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Could you just do it faster because your time has already been completed?
Okay, this is just the last slide. After this, the conclusion slide is there. Okay, I'm sorry. So in the algorithm, we can see that once the initial response is generated, each bias module has a measure and a normalized score, and with which there is an aggregated score that would be generated. Each weight would be assigned for each bias module, and based on that, a bias aggregated bias score is generated. And to compute the fairness score, we basically subtract the whole bias value from 1, and then we compare the threshold. And if the fairness value is greater than the threshold, then there is no need for any changes because it's completely unbiased. But let's say if it's less, then we apply mitigation techniques. Coming to the conclusion. To conclude, this paper majorly presents a comprehensive survey of bias detection and fairness auditing techniques for LLMs. We examined the evaluation of bias features starting from embedding level analysis to contextual bias evaluation. We also reviewed widely used benchmark datasets and highlighted their strengths and limitations. We identified several challenges, including the fragmented evaluation methods, limited dataset coverage. To address these concerns, this paper proposes a unified perspective consisting of a dataset integration pipeline and a modular bias auditing framework. Overall, this work emphasizes the importance of developing reliable, transparent, and scalable fairness auditing mechanisms for the responsible deployment of large language models. With that, I conclude my presentation and thank you for your time and attention. I would be happy to answer the questions.
You presented very well, sir. So basically, you said you are merging different data sets in your study, right?
Yeah.
So which LLM were evaluated more in your study?
Sorry, which
Which
LLM?
LLM were evaluated more in your study?
As in, so what you're basically asking is if we have performed the whole evaluation process based on the data sets that we,
Yes.
okay. So right now, the data sets that we have are the outputs generated by an LLM, by different LLMs.
Okay.
So right now we are majorly working on this in a way that this is mainly a survey paper, a review paper. And we have proposed a solution over here, and we are working towards a solution where the data set that we have collected is basically the outputs of major LLM models, which is already available, the data sets.
Okay.
It's
Already
just that there is no singular data set which would cover all the types of bias, saying the gender bias has a separate data set itself, and demographic bias, it has separate data set itself. So what we have
Okay.
done is we have combined the data sets, and then we are working on it in a
Okay.
way that in future, let's say if someone generates or if someone is able to create another bias module and the data set, we can directly integrate it into this model by adding it as another module layer.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
In regards to your study, sir, it's more in the data set that you are trying to deal with. Where did you get the data set, sir?
Uh, the data the data sets were available online.
Online, like is it in Kaggle or on a different
Uh,
open source?
Kaggle, Hugging Face, and I've also like requested certain researchers for their data sets.
Like
Like
roughly how many data sets you did work on this study?
So
You
for
said you combine, you said.
yeah, so we have used 4 datasets: the stereo set dataset, Troes pair, and uh, uh, and holistic bias and toxicity.
Yeah,
So
but how many, how many
okay, the number of
data?
samples.
Yeah, the number of samples, I said.
The overall number of samples, they went to around 1 lakh.
Like how many, sir? Sorry, I didn't.
1,50,000. It was
If
approximately that much
on those combination of all
on the
data types.
combination. On the combination.
Okay. So on these findings that you have, like what will be the gap for us to probably check other or venture other ideas on this one? Like what will be your insights on it?
As in like the future work.
Yeah, the future work, should I say.
So the future work would probably we can actually integrate a proper LLM testing thing, as in let's say right now we are working with this data set and we are working on patterns, and based on that we are finalizing uh, the outcome, like okay, how it should be. In the future, we can also elaborate the testing methods by integrating it to a certain LLM and check how it is performing.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. So with this, I sincerely thank our authors and the excellent presenters and the contribution to give this contribution to this session, and I all the participants for being part of this international conference. I hope that this session was informative and knowledgeable to all of us, and on behalf of the team, I thank you for this support during this virtual conference, and we'll be happy to have you in the next session of 2027 too. And I request all the presenters to be that they will be getting their certificates, digital certificates via email in 2 working days. And the publication will be live within 7 to 8 months. And I hope they kindly cooperate with our team. I also want to thank our session chairs, Elmer B. Noshe and Ma'am Professor Kamlesh Ahuja, ma'am, to chairing this session. And these are the token of appreciation for both of them. Thank you so much for both of you for being engaging throughout the session. Thank you every author who has presented this paper. And at last, I kindly request you all to switch on their cameras so that we can take a small snapshot so we can just share with our team. Thank you so much, everyone. I've taken the
Yeah.
screenshot and it was great having you all. You are
Thank
being
you.
very cooperative throughout the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.